Hello and welcome to another episode of Scott Reads Comics. Today we're going to continue our coverage of X-Men: The Hidden Years with issue number 2, published in 2000 by Marvel Comics. A couple things I'll point out here before we dive in. This moniker, this tagline is going to start showing up here at the top. The strangest teens of all. And I have to point out the great corner piece too from Byrne and Palmer here. Very nice. Love the floating heads, and they show our classic team. Although we can see that Beast is missing from the corner piece, while Professor Xavier is prominent here. So very interesting. There's also this badge celebrating Marvel's 60-year anniversary of publishing superhero comics. So Byrne and Palmer are listed. Slaughter in the Savage Land. Let's get right into it. So we have John Byrne and Tom Palmer, writer-artist, Greg Wright, colorist, Jason Liebig, editor, Bob Harris, editor-in-chief. Something that I neglected to mention in the previous issue, there's no letterer listed here, and I believe that in addition to inking and finishing Byrne's pencils, Tom Palmer is doing the letters. I don't know that for sure. Correct me in the comments if you know differently, or if you have some other information. We'd love to hear it. But let's get into it here. Years before a wary world came to know the X-Men as an international band of exotic adventurers, there were a handful of troubled teenagers and one man with a dream. Stan Lee presents X-Men: The Hidden Years, The Ghost and the Darkness. So in the previous issue, we have a great splash page here with Cyclops in mourning, because in the previous issue, it was announced that Jean Grey had perished. Of course, we know that's not the case, but let's see how it happened. For what seems the 1000th time in the few short hours since he was given the terrible news, Scott Summers' mind runs once again through the cascade of moments leading to tragedy. So the X-Men were sent to the Savage Land to make sure that Magneto was dead after Xavier, on his return, learned that they had tangled with him and he'd been left buried under tons of rubble. Obviously, a villain like Magneto, you don't just assume that he's gone. You have to confirm. It began with a sudden loss of steering control in their ship, something which would have surely spelled the end of the three aboard, had not Marvel Girl used her telekinetic power to project a field of mental energy around them, a field which cushioned them against impact, but had the unexpected effect of transferring the force back against Jean Grey herself. So then the natives that rescue them tell them Jean Grey is dead. And this page here is more brilliant Byrne page design. He's just masterful at figure work and page design, telling stories. Just is second nature to him. Look at this great open panel, long panel of Cyclops here showing. And I love how he draws Cyclops here. Like a lot of times later on, Byrne and Cockrum would draw him over-muscled, but here he's lean, thin, kind of like the Slim Summers that he sometimes had that moniker. He says, "She can't be dead. I would have known, I would have felt it, as if a part of me had died." They have a mental link, obviously. Great shot here as he screams her name, lets loose with his optic blasts. No one has ever taken the full measure of the force unleashed by Cyclops' optic blasts. They are a fury as potent and perhaps as old as the jungle on which they are now set loose. So he's just destroying tracts of jungle here. But there's some blowback as we get another great theme. This is the X-Men's third trip to the Savage Land, technically, if we go chronologically. And John Byrne loves to draw dinosaurs. And so here we have our first dinosaur, our first T-Rex from John Byrne's talented pencil. A jungle which now seems to respond to this attack, unleashing a fury all its own. No, Tyrannosaurus Rex. I could blast it all the way back to the Stone Age without even working up a sweat, but I can't. It's only defending its territory. So Cyclops, reluctant to destroy this beast or even hurt it, looks like he's about to get swallowed up here, and then suddenly he is rescued. And one which our toothy friend is ill-equipped to fully appreciate. "Hank, thanks for the save, but how can you be so glib at a time like this?" Maybe it's because we have good news, Psych. Angel, we agreed I was to be the bearer of glad tidings. I know, Beast, I know. Only, I think this is something Scotty would like to hear today. And with your fondness for big words and fancy phrasings, you might take a week to get it all out. All right, enough the games, you two. What's this all about? She's alive, Scott. Jean is alive. What? Back that down a notch, Warren. Don't elevate his hopes excessively. Hank, please. The quickest, fastest way you know how to say it. Say it. We have reason to believe the chieftain may have been indulging in a little cultural metaphor, Scott. There is a chance Jean is still alive. And then down here, this is how Byrne does the transitions throughout this series. He uses a snatch of dialogue or description from the next scene at the bottom of the present scene. I don't know, Mom. And we turn the page and we are back in the States. He just turned up at my door last night. Now he's crashed on my couch. Yes, I know it's been weeks since the last time he even called me. He didn't even show up to help Vera move in like he promised. But what was I supposed to do, you know? I've always been a sucker for birds with broken wings. So this is Bobby Drake, Iceman, shows up at his ex-girlfriend Zelda's place. Zelda, this is your apartment. How did I get here? Beats me, Bobby. You seemed like you were in a bad place when you came knocking at 2 this morning. 2 o'clock? Oh man, I remember now. I was so mad at the professor, I had to get out of there. Angry over Professor X's deception, which had resulted in them believing him dead for many months, Bobby Drake quit the X-Men last issue. That's a little editor's note for us. Trouble in paradise, huh, Bobby? I thought everything was always sweetness and light at that super exclusive school of yours. Yeah, that's what I used to think too, Z. So, as she's getting him a cup of coffee, he explains to her that the reason he ran out on her was he was new infatuation with Lorna Dane. It's just, well, things got real complicated all of a sudden. I know you and me had something going, but I met this girl, Lorna Dane, and then she met Scott's brother, Alex. This is about another girl? You dump me without so much as a word? And when she goes sour on you, you think you can, Z, I'm sorry, it's not like that. And then Vera wakes up, recognizes Bobby there. What's going on? Is Hank here too? So Vera is Hank's girlfriend. Oh, Vera, hi. No, Professor Xavier sent Hank and Scott and Jean on a field trip. That's sort of why I spent most of yesterday wandering in a fog. My friends may be in trouble, and I just walked away. I didn't do anything to Bobby? And he kind of spaces out here, and he tells us why in his thought balloon. By the way, I love thought balloons, and the fact that most modern comics don't use them is just dumb. Professor X, he's sending out a long-range telepathic message. It's meant for Alex and Lorna, but after all my years at the school, I can make out some of it. X has lost contact with Scott and the others. I've got to go. I've got to do something. Bobby, what the heck is going on? I have no idea, Vera, but I'm going to find out, and I think I know just who I can call to help us do it. So she calls Candy Southern, who's Angel's longtime girlfriend, and of course, because they're so close, she knows who Angel is. She knows that Warren Worthington is the Angel and part of the X-Men, and that's all obviously communicated well here by this picture. So I'm sure that'll play out later as we go through the series. No one actually dies here? No, my friend. When the time draws near, our sick and dying are taken to the place of passage. There's some kind of priest caste that takes charge from that point. The aged and infirm are sent on to live out the last days of their lives in some kind of earthly paradise. When the chief said Jean had passed on to the land of the dead, he meant it literally? All we have to do is follow Jean? Oh no. You must not even think such a thing. It's forbidden. I'm sure it is, and I don't want to go breaking any local taboos, but I must find out if Jean is all right. Her injuries are fully healed. From off panel, someone says. There is no reason to maintain her slumber. On the contrary. So this is another one of those transitions here. This one mid-page. And we see Magneto is the one talking. This young woman and her companions are among my greatest enemies. It was they who killed me when last they came to this land of yours. Should she awaken and contact the others before we are ready, it could mean the ruination of all your long-laid plans. So here they are, the three X-Men observing the entrance to the place of passage and these weird priests, which Hank points out, they do have a disturbingly organic look to them, don't they? Much more than one might expect, were they simply stitched together from animal hides. So he thinks their cloaks look weird, and that's going to pay off later. And then we have this strange Spider-Man free insert comic, which I'm sure is fine, but I'm not going to spend any time on it. I do like that Mysterio right there. Okay, back to our story. It looks like they have customers. Hail, O keepers of the way. Behold, we bring to you those who are worthy of passage. They are welcome here. Peace and tranquility await them. Let there be no sad faces. Their time of worldly pain and sorrows is now at an end. Farewell, mother. Someday I shall join you in the land beyond. So they're putting these two old folks onto this gondola or canoe, and its current is taking them into the tunnel. People merely board that small ferry and float off into that tunnel. And this is the land of the dead. And this land of the dead is where? Underground or on the other side of these mountains? Only one way to find out, Warren. You'll have to see if you can get over those peaks. Hank and I will try going in the front door. Consider it done, leader man. I love, like I said last issue, I love the blue and white costume. This look for Angel is really cool. You know, I'm not one to question your decision, Scott. But with our forces already so depleted, is it wise to send Angel off like this? Don't worry, Hank. I'm not letting my concern for Jean cloud my judgment. No! Now, come on. Let's see what the ferryman charges for a ride over the river Styx. And then from off this panel, that no comes out as the chief's daughter has informed them, the tribe of the X-Men's indiscretion. So the gloves are off, the friendliness is over, and they're going to prevent them from desecrating this taboo of theirs. Now you must pay for your betrayal. Fire! Hank, get down. No mere drug darts this time, it seems. Our erstwhile hosts want us dead. It therefore behooves us to disappoint them. Careful not to do too much damage, Beast. They're not doing anything more than defending their faith. Indubitably, Mr. Summers. May I suggest, then, that we incorporate a discreet retreat into our battle plan? Great action here. These two, Byrne and Palmer, really have a feel for these characters, as you would expect, obviously. I just love the way they draw the Beast. He's just totally great in this form. Good idea. If we can get into one of those boats, we can leave this fight behind and get on with our business. The priests don't seem to be making any moves to intervene in our activities. Let us hope they maintain that pacifistic stance once we... Oh my! And we see now that Hank's observation of the weirdness of their cloaks was very astute, because they are actually winged beings. Very cool. Gives me a little bit of a Beastmaster vibe there with those crazy creatures that show up at the end in Beastmaster and save the day. Very cool. Almost like Pterodon people. A little Sauron-like, that classic X-Men villain, but they're their own thing. So it's yet another lost species of people in the Savage Land. No wonder those clothes look so odd. They're wings. The priests aren't human. All the more reason to find out what's happened to Jean. Hang on, Hank. Great use of Psyche's optic blast to propel them here, but he is shot with an arrow dead at center in the chest. Scott, don't move. You only make it worse. It's way deeper. You only make it work its way deeper. No need to worry about that, Hank. It's plenty deep enough. Just hang on, Scott. The current is carrying us far and fast. If there really is a paradise at the end of this ride, there may be someone who can help you. So they're speculating what they're going to find at the other end of this subterranean canal, and they can see a light, and it's not really the paradise that it was made out to be, as you can see. And this bizarre city was shown in a far shot in the previous issue. So here we get to see it kind of up close as the X-Men arrive at this tainted, sort of very dark and sad looking place. Menacing as well. Great world building here by Byrne. We've either come the wrong way or paradise has changed its meaning since the last time I perused a dictionary. Hank. No, don't try to move. There may yet be turn out to be a medical aid at hand. There may, but I don't think I'm going to need it. So he pulls the arrow out and he is immediately healed. The wound has healed itself, but that's not possible. But before the X-Men have time to digest this astonishing event, what the? To state the obvious, a cage. And then we have a transition. Oh man, this is bad. And I thought the turbulence coming into the Savage Land was rough. So Angel is running into some terrible air as he's trying to get over the mountain to join his friends. He gets slammed up against the mountainside. And in a great sequence of wordless panels, he plummets to the snow-coated surface below. And we can see just at the end another character entering this last panel, another winged character who will be revealed next issue, I assume. Next on Wings of Angels. So that's it for issue 2. We have a bullpen bulletins here. So Stan Lee's and Stan's soapbox is answering questions. Sebastian Nantel of Clarenville, Canada, is a budget-minded no-prizer. Here's why. The Avengers are funded by the Stark Foundation. But what about the X-Men? Blackbird jet fuel can't come cheap, and Wolvie goes through more costumes in a week than the Spice Girls. Where do they get the money to pay for all that? It warms the cockles of my heart to see that we have such cost-conscious readers. Actually, the money comes from good old Professor X, who, because of his incredible mental powers, was able to win a fortune years ago in Las Vegas. Whenever he needs more money, he simply makes a return visit. Oh, those lucky mutants. Now, I don't know if that's canon or not, but if it is canonical, if there was actually a story that said that was the source of Professor X's wealth, that doesn't seem very honest or heroic to me, to go and crush Vegas using your mental powers. But interesting nonetheless. And that's it, folks. That is X-Men Hidden Years number 2. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe, comment below. Let me know what you thought of this title. And if you haven't read it before, I would urge you to find it. It's available in most dollar bins. This has also been collected in a couple of trades. And it may be getting an Epic collection at some point. We'll see. Or perhaps an omnibus. At any rate, I will rejoin you for our next episode soon. Thanks again for watching Scott Reads Comics.